Hi, everybody. We're back with Doc's Daily for Tuesday, February 18th. We are 3 weeks from today. March Madness, the opening round games start. So before you know it, we're going to be there. So make sure if you haven't done so, you hit that like and subscribe button and you don't miss out on all the stuff we do here daily. Not just here on this show, but we also have tons of other free pick videos going up daily for both college basketball, NBA, and the NHL this time of year. Of course, those guys are on the All-Star break for the NBA until tomorrow. We have one game tomorrow. Most of everybody else on Thursday. The NHL, we have the end of the I don't know what they call it. It's not the final
Four Nations.
Four Nations. The Four Nations is the finals on Thursday. We get a rematch, Canada, U.S. Interesting game. We'll talk about that a little tomorrow. But today we're all about college basketball. Before we get into it, don't forget, we love all these plays. These are all like what I would consider 1-unit plays. Maybe every once in a while we'll sneak in a 2-unit play for you guys. But our top plays, and we're talking 5, 6, 7, 8-unit plays, this you have to go over and purchase at Doc Sports. And we're going to give you $60 for all new customers. DocSports.com/free60. Get you a free $60 to get in and try us out. Today I do have a 6-unit play. Yesterday we just had a 4-unit play, nothing big. Today I have a 6-unit, a 4-unit, and a 2-unit play. You get those all if you purchase that daily 30-day pass. Raphael, what do you have for today? Anything in college hoops?
No premium plays to me. I have one college basketball play, but that's pretty much. I have one soccer play, Champions League, going today. That's a small play as well, but nothing premium for me. It's a weak schedule. I wanted to put up a play last night, and then the number moved 2 points this morning, so I just dropped it to a non-premium play. But I'm gonna jump back into Four Nations really quick. The game is Thursday. The total is 5.5. Now the juice is -130 in certain shops. If you want to play the under, which I think is a good bet, I would get it now because by Thursday we could see a 5 on this game. It's going to be a defensive battle. I would not be shocked if it's a 2-1 type of game, maybe over under 6 fights in the game on this one. Don't wait till Thursday to bet this game because we could get an ugly total of a 5 on it. So jump at 5.5 now.
First game 3-1, right? We finished 3-1.
Yes.
So that game went under. We've seen these games. I think are just much closer. I mean, these teams are. I almost want to bet Canada just because U.S. won the first game, and I feel like that was just closer. I just think it's a closer game.
And USA loses yesterday, so they're coming off a loss. And granted, right. I know their roster was totally different, but a loss is a loss. I don't care who's playing.
All right, so you can get the best plays, Doc Sports free 60. If you're an existing customer, you know how to get it. Go to the grid. Got some specials. Right now, we've reduced the price for college basketball. Any capper you can get in. It's $2.99 all the way through the national championship game. NBA's dropped to $3.99 all the way through the championship game. So that's 3 months, so not 4 months almost. It's potentially more than 4 months worth of NBA plays. And then the NHL, I think, is $3.50 or $3.25. I'm not sure.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember.
So, but all those, you get them all the way through. If you want a week pass, they're $99 per sport, or you can get the day pass for $30. Okay, let's talk a little college hoops, Raphael. This was a good day yesterday. Actually, I thought some good games. All those the nice games, except the Duke game, of course, were good games. The Utah and Kansas State game was good. We had the late Arizona and Baylor game was really good. I mean, all those teams you could see. Like you start to play, you start to put it in your mind. Like I can see these teams winning and getting to the Sweet 16, and that's what makes the NCAA tournament so great. Is that it's not just 16 teams you think you can make. You can make an argument for 25, 30 teams, and that's where we get the upsets. Is there a college basketball game that you like as to start us off a free pick for today?
I want to jump on that Arizona game. That's a great win for them on the road after losing at home over the weekend. So that was a great win for them. But I'll throw my first one. Now this is not a brown noser play. This is not some kissing up to the boss play because everyone knows the boss was from Wisconsin. I'm playing Wisconsin -4 today against Illinois. It opened up at 3.5. Of course, it jumped to 4, and we probably will see 4.5, even though Illinois has won 9 straight meetings against Wisconsin. Wisconsin playing some fantastic basketball. Back-to-back road wins against Purdue, against Iowa. That road win against Purdue was very, very impressive. This is going to be a sneaky team in the tournament. I would not want to play Wisconsin, especially if they're hitting the 3 ball. They've won 13 straight out of conference play. I think they're going to easily roll on this one. I'll take the 4 before it moves to 4.5. if it does move to 4.5, maybe take a shot at maybe buying a half a point or wait for live betting. I wouldn't take 5 because anything can happen on this one. But you know what? I'm going to throw you out a bonus play. Yeah, bonus free play. Don't tell anybody. I like Illinois team total over 78.5 because if they need to hang out today at home, they're going to need to score. Illinois is averaging 85 points a game and 83 points a game at home. So I like Illinois to keep up. It's going to be a fast-paced game. I'm not saying Alabama fast-paced game, but it's going to be a lot of scoring.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about this game. And the reason why is Wisconsin played maybe the best half of basketball we've seen any team last year. 70-some% at Purdue. If you guys have never been to watch a game at Purdue, one of the tougher places, those fans don't have much else to live for around there other than basketball. And man, do they come out big. And Purdue looked great the first half. They did not play bad the second half. It just was Wisconsin played. I mean, they couldn't be stopped. They could get to the hole. They were hitting shots from the outside. Any team that shoots 70% is probably going to win. But to do it against a Purdue team that plays pretty good defense, Matt Painter, I think, is one of the more underrated coaches. That was a quality win. So I'm a little worried because you're not going to shoot 70%. You're just not going to do it. So I was kind of thinking playing contrarian today, playing under in this game because, I mean, this is a high-scoring game. And I think a lot of people was what they saw last, and the last thing they saw was Wisconsin just scoring at will. I don't know if that's going to happen, even though Illinois defense isn't quite as good. So DraftKings Wisconsin is 3.5. I like it. I mean, if you're playing Wisconsin, I feel like they're going to win by 7 or 8. I just feel like I think this is one of those games you either play the Wisconsin minus the points or you play Illinois outright. I don't think Illinois just keeps it close. I think Illinois either slows this team down or just gets absolutely lit up. Okay, I got a free play for you. How about South Carolina LSU? LSU is one of those teams that has not had a good year. But talking about not having a good year, South Carolina has been, I mean, last year, you're talking about like coach of the year type performance that South Carolina had. Now you're talking about firing your coach. That's how quickly things can happen, especially in these big super conferences where, you know, a couple transfers, a couple guys leave, ineligible injuries. That's all it takes. South Carolina does not have room for error. LSU, this is probably their last chance. You look at the rest of their games, probably not going to have another win on their schedule that you can at least see. They did pull an upset. I believe that was at Oklahoma last time out. But I like LSU to take care of business. Unless they have a letdown here, which I just don't see happening, I don't see how South Carolina wins. South Carolina season it's not circling around the toilet bowl, Raphael. It's already flushed down the toilet. This is a forgettable season. They want to just see this thing end. Let's take LSU minus the points here. I wouldn't talk anybody off a little parlay action like LSU and the over because I kind of think this is going to be a high-scoring game too. But of the two, for sure, I like LSU on the side much more.
Yeah, I was teeter-tottering making this one of my plays today. I really liked LSU coming off an impressive win, even though both teams stink. South Carolina, boy, the women lose at home, breaking a 71 home streak when UConn beat them last week, and now South Carolina men's team, man, it hates to be a Gamecock basketball player right now.
What do you feel about? And before we get to another free pick, I just want to get your take. I loved Houston over the weekend. That was my 7-unit play on Saturday easily. I mean, they played terrible the first half, but it's just that type of team where they just can grind out wins. And today, it's kind of a sandwich spot for them. This is not a great Arizona State team. I kind of thought the line was going to be 9.5. The line is 11.5, which I know Houston has been great, especially on the road. But don't you think that might be just a little too many points?
It is, but you have to look at it. Everyone saw what Houston did over the weekend. Yep. And what did people bet? The last thing they saw. So you had to make it. If I was an odds maker, I would have probably made it 11.5 because you know Joe Public's going to be parlaying it, teasing it, everything impossible with Houston, especially now with the ratings coming out. I still think they should get a number 1 seed if they continue to win games, but that's a different story. You had to make it. I agree. I think I made it like 10.5. So mine's about 1 point difference. But if I was going to play it, I'd probably look at the Sun Devils.
Yeah, I kind of think this is like the best sandwich spot. If Arizona State can't cover this one, they ain't ever going to cover because Houston, they're like just a team that can play bad. We saw that. They played just average basketball, and they still beat one of the better. I think Arizona is going to be a beast, especially if Love can just hone in. I mean, the guy takes some bad shots sometimes and makes some bad turnovers. He just plays within himself. The dude's a monster. We saw that in the Iowa State game when he hit that big shot, three-quarter Scott shot late. But it wasn't just that. He played really good in that game. I think Houston's one of those, they grind it out, they win by 5. It's probably pretty dominating, but it doesn't necessarily show in the score just because this Arizona State team, I do think can score some points. So I was kind of thinking Arizona State. But I do think you are right. I think Houston deserves a number 1 seed, especially if they go on to win the Big 12 regular season title. They should win because the Big 12, it's not quite as good as the SEC. The SEC obviously has some better top end teams. But from top to bottom, it's as good as any. Like, you want to play BYU or Utah on the road this year? They can beat anybody. And they're kind of a middle-of-the-run team in the Big 12. So to me, it's just like, I think the Big 12 isn't getting enough credit, and hopefully they will before the end of the year. We did see the number 1 seeds come out. I think it was 3 SEC teams. Isn't that right?
Yeah, and I don't think that's I still think that if they used, I agree with you. If Houston wins the Big 12, they're getting a number 1 in Duke unless something happens to them. So I think the SEC will get 2. And there's no way they're going to get 14 teams in a tournament. They'll probably get 12. I think Georgia and Arkansas will play themselves out. So I think 12 teams they'll probably get in.
This is going to be the argument. They're talking about expanding 74, 78, I think, next year.
No, don't do it.
And adding another play-in location other than Dayton, so they would, have 2 play-in locations. But the word I hear, which I don't like, I mean, obviously you're adding more basically power conference teams. It's kind of like what you did to the playoffs. It's like you're just adding more of the teams that already have opportunities. I want to do the opposite. I want to add more A-10 teams. I want to add more of the mid-major teams that just don't have the opportunities on a, week in, week out to get quality wins. So thus, if they don't win the conference tournament, they don't get in. I want to see all those teams that I would like to see the regular season. Oh, sorry. I don't know what happened there. I want to see I want to see the regular season tournament get in, champion get in for these mid-majors and the conference tournament. Now that would add some excitement because then you start knocking out the SEC bottom of the Big 12, the ACC. The ACC and the Big East this year, not the greatest year as they've had. So it's going to be an exciting next 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. I think did you tell me last week it's 2 weeks from Thursday is the first conference tournament start?
I think so, and I don't have it in front of me right now.
It's something like that. And so, I mean, it's just not that far in front of us. Do you have another free play for us in college hoops here today?
Yes, I do. My last one. And this one, you might have to dig a little deeper on the board. But Buffalo Bulls plus 2.5. I still got football in my brain versus Western Michigan. And I'm pretty much just fading Western Michigan. Can someone please tell me in the chat, call me, tweet me, put it on Instagram, why is Western Michigan the road favorite here? They have dropped 16 of their last 20 games on the road, and they're a road favorite. They opened up as a 1-point road favorite, and now they're 2.5-point road favorite. Who's betting the Broncos as a road favorite? I know Buffalo and Western Michigan, they have the same record, 8-17. They have the same road record, 3-10. They have the same home record, 5-7. This is an equal team, so why wouldn't you give Buffalo the chance to win it? I like Buffalo here. They won 8 out of their last 10 meetings against Western Michigan. I'm blown away that money continues to come in on the Broncos on the road. They haven't proved to me that they're road favorites. Make it a pick 'em. Let the money decide who is the road favorite, not putting them the road favorite automatically. I just don't understand this number. I'm taking Buffalo.
The MAC this year, I'm in MAC country. I'm in Ohio, so it's surrounded by me. Ohio University is the closest when I'm in my southeast house. When I'm in Cincinnati, Miami's not very far away. Of course, those rivals. And so I hear and get to see a lot of them. Akron, really good this year. I think Kent State's good. But this is just not a great year for the MAC. So usually this is one of those tournaments that anybody can win. Like the top 2 or 3 teams don't always win it. I don't know if that's the case this year. I kind of think Akron probably is going to get it done, or Kent State. But I got a free play for you. We talked about it earlier. I think one of the best home environments, Utah in general, the state of Utah, home teams are just dominating. Utah State's been great this year. BYU's been great in Utah. I like BYU here with Kansas. I know a lot of people are like, well, Kansas is coming off a loss. Yeah, to who? Utah. You know who's even better at home than Utah? BYU. This BYU team, Mark Pope did not leave the chest bare when he left. He left a good situation, and they've improved on that. BYU has just as many pros. Yes, I said that. Just as many pros on their team than does Kansas. Now, you will not be able to say that very often, but that is the case. I think BYU has 3 pros. I think Kansas has 2 or 3 pros. So I like BYU here -2.5. I do see some 3s out there. And that's where I start to get a little nervous because obviously, you can win and then they throw in a shot at the buzzer and you win by 2 and you don't cover. So try to find it. Go shop it around. I do see some 2.5 still out there, so go search it. I do like BYU here -2.5. I just think they stay hot at home. And BYU, I don't know how they're going to do in the tournament. Same with Utah if they could get in. But if they could play in the West Coast, they don't get shipped out east, I think they have a chance because their fans travel well, and these teams both can score some points. Give me BYU -2.5. But be careful if this line starts to scoot to 3. Maybe buy that half just to be safe with the BYU -2.5. Any opinion on this Big 12 matchup here, Raphael?
Open up at 1.5, and then quickly went to 2.5. I think it skipped 2, and no money's coming in on a happy Mormons are going to be shooting 3s all day long. So I agree. I would wait to see maybe live bet, maybe see if Kansas comes out strong and that number comes down and hurry up and bet it. And so I think down the road through this game, I think BYU is going to be the better team. They're at home. The crowd's going to be nuts. The crowd would love to see them win the game against the almighty KU fans of college basketball. So I hate the 3. Probably would see it bet up even higher to 3.5.
Yep.
Just the way, because it's a late game. It's 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time game. So all the bettors would be jumping on BYU. So I would probably wait to see what live betting does, or maybe chip pass and see if any KU money comes in late.
I want to worry though a little bit about this Kansas team on the road this year. They're just 3-6. Last year they struggled on the road, and all those years in a row. And Kansas fans, I think, kind of took it for granted that they were just winning the Big 12 every year. Now with the expanded Big 12, much, much, much tougher. It's just, when you're getting the home and home, the equal schedules, of course you can't get that now. I just think this Kansas, the mystique of Kansas, that mystique has not, it's that glass floor has been shattered, and rest of the Big 12 are not scared of Kansas anymore. And as much as Hunter Dickinson's a very nice player, and I don't want to talk bad about anybody, he is one of the few big men that plays back to the basket and it kind of clogs up the lane. It's a tough way to go for it. I actually think Kansas will improve when he leaves because his numbers are great, but it's just the style of basketball now doesn't allow really for that back to basket player. And so I think it's a tough spot for Kansas. I think BYU gets it done. I do see some sneaking up there. You're right, already some 3.5. So maybe if we see this is one of the things as a handicapper that I will do sometimes. I won't bet the full game. I'll just wait and hope that Kansas takes a 4-0 lead, 6-0 lead, and then we get the line at 2, 2.5, like I really want. So if you see that and you can't get BYU -2.5, because I think that's the number that is safest to bet at, then maybe wait and play this game in game. You'll get a much better number if Kansas gets a lead. If not, you just don't bet the game. I mean, you don't have to bet every game if just because it's on the board. So
thank you for saying that. Everyone doesn't say that as much. Just because the game's on TV does not mean you have to bet. I always tell this is because you bought a play or purchased a play or like a play and it's 2, and when it's time, you forgot to bet it because the kids are screaming, your wife's yelling at you, you didn't finish your chores, and you want to go bet it, and now it's 4. Maybe step back and say, hey, you know what? I ain't betting it now. It moved 2 points and stuff like that. Just because there's a game on TV does not mean you have to bet it.
They're asking about the UCLA over/under on the UCLA game. I am the worst when it comes to betting Mick Cronin. He's a former Bearcat. I actually worked with him at basketball camps for Coach Huggins way back when I played basketball in college, and he's just such a grinder coach. I can't ever take the over when UCLA plays. His mind, I can't get UCLA the UC time out of my head when he basically couldn't score. The defense would be top 5 in the country and they just couldn't score. And that's why he only had one Sweet 16, I think, as a Bearcat. Just hard to get that out of my head. So I would always lean to under when I think Mick Cronin and UCLA.
There's no value in this total right here. I made it 130.5 and it came out and it's already moved to 131.5. I just don't trust. I think if you're Minnesota, you want to slow this game down on the road. So I don't trust the game to go over. And even the number has just skyrocketed. The number plummeted. This one opened up at 13. Now it's 11.5. So a lot of gopher money coming in.
Minnesota's been pretty good. Like
Yeah.
they started off like I thought they might not win a Big Ten game this year, and then all of a sudden you look up and they've won 3 or 4 of their last 6 or 7 games, and it's a team that against the spread they're still continue. I think people still remember what they were early in the year or early in the season, especially in the Big Ten season, and so now these numbers are inflated. UCLA is playing better basketball since that back-to-back losses to Maryland in Michigan. They really have been playing better basketball. I do want to throw a little free play out, and then we'll probably get out a little early today just because we just have college hoops. People don't understand how big of a rivalry Butler-Xavier has become. And I know because obviously living in Cincinnati half of my week, I see and hear Butler basketball ever since these two joined the Big East. Yes, Cincinnati is the natural rival to Xavier because they're, a couple miles apart. But Butler has become, because they're recruiting against the same kids. I mean, you're recruiting against the Midwestern kids. You're the same type of school, 3,000-4,000 students. It's just they look in the mirror, they see each other. And they travel well. Both of these teams travel well. It's a sneaky game at 6.5. Xavier's a much better team, to be honest. But when I see that line at 6.5, Raphael, I'm thinking Butler. This is just like a setup game, because anytime you see a rivalry game and I see more than 2 baskets, I'm thinking you take the underdog, and this is that case. Butler does have a lot of experience. They've just not put it all together in many games this year. Any opinion on this Big East clash here?
Yeah, I'll wait because DraftKings has 7.5 right now, and normally that's a copy and paste type of betting board. Today, with only college basketball, we can probably get a better number. But I do like that play. The more points gets, I'm probably going to look at that play. But I would say wait. If one book has 7.5, me and you know the deal. If one book has a number, a lot of copy and paste could be right behind it.
And when you see like this is why I think it's such a trap type game, is that when you see, and the odds makers know that it's a rivalry, but not everybody else knows in college basketball. Your average bettor that basically is only betting college basketball maybe this weekend because this stretch because there's no NBA, there's no NHL. And they look at the records, and especially recently, look how good Xavier's been playing. They're like, why is Xavier only a 6.5, 7.5 point favorite? Oh, Xavier's going to roll. That's just not the way it works in college basketball. These games are a lot closer usually. Give me Butler. Like you said, if you can get the 7.5, ooh. If I knew I could get 7.5, I probably would have made this a premium play. But I would say, like in that 7 number, it's probably like a 1-unit play. If it gets to 7.5, I would probably be more like a 2-unit play, which is usually a premium level for you guys. So you're getting in on that. One last question I have, Raphael. When we look at these, what I call the situational games or times of the year, and that's when you have like these breaks, like the All-Star break, and I think college basketball gets a influx of betting because, obviously they get that come March Madness. No one can forget about conference tournaments. Right now we're getting it because there's no NHL, there's no NBA, and, it's not a ton of soccer. So it's like, everybody then has to bet on something. Does that mean these underdogs are even liver? Because obviously the public's going to, especially public that doesn't really follow, is going to bet even more of the favorites.
Yes, I mean, perfect example. Adam asked me, does Florida cover it? And I can guarantee you Florida is going to be on teasers and money lines and stuff like that. So, yeah, these days, yesterday and today, the dog could bark a lot just because the numbers are going to be fluctuating so much because you hit the nail perfectly. There's nothing else to bet on. Champions League soccer will be over before the first college basketball tip. So now you have 0 to bet on unless you want to bet the ponies, some dog racing up in West Florida. Yeah, you could do that, but everyone's gonna be betting college basketball, so they're gonna be parlaying a lot of the favorites. So dog could be barking a lot today. So that's why the Buffalo Bulls was one of my picks. I think the dog barks at home.
Yeah, I think this is danger time of year to be playing favorites. This little stretch of about a week, 6 days, I guess, that we can see teams that probably should be like the Xavier team. They probably should be a 6.5 point favorite. But because the public sees what recently these two teams have done, you're going to get 7.5, maybe even sneak to 8. So wait, I always say, here is my PSA announcement, as they say. If you're betting an underdog, I always wait till game time to bet it because I always feel like I'm going to have a potential to get an even better number. Even if it's not a better number, you might even get, instead of -110, you might get -105 as the money starts to move to the favorite. And same with the unders. If I'm betting unders, if I really like an under, I will wait till game time. Now, conversely, if I like a favorite, I'm trying to bet it as soon as these numbers come out. Now, late last night. Some of them come out early in the morning. I'm going to jump on the favorites and the overs right away because that's where the public's going to end up, and those numbers are going to move. And I think that is universally kind of my handicapping style, but even more so right now with no NBA and NHL.
I couldn't agree more.
All right, so we're going to get out of here a little early today since we don't have any NHL. Raphael's going to be back with me tomorrow. The boys potentially might be in Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. We don't know. They're down in Raphael's neighborhood. They're down in New Orleans for the week on vacation. So they're going to try to sneak in depending on how the recovery goes in the mornings. But no matter what, we're going to have Raphael tomorrow. On Thursday, Friday, we're going to have Robert, and we're going to be talking to come to college basketball. Tomorrow, we'll have an NBA game. We have one game, a makeup game in from the Wildfires. We got the Hornets and the Lakers. And tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit about I keep wanting to call it the Frozen Four, but it's the International Four.
Four Nations.
Four Nations. I mean, they got to work on the name of that because it's more than four nations, right?
Well, in a league, it's pretty much in the NHL, it's pretty much four nations, unless you want to put a Russia league on there, which I don't think it's going to happen. But it dominated the NBA crappy All-Star weekend board, and the NBA took a big negativity because of the four nations.
All right. One last question here. Just before we get out, we'll throw this in there. Any opinion, Raphael, San Diego State, Fresno State? Fresno's not been great this year.
No, maybe if the total might go over, because I think San Diego State could put up 90 against Fresno State. I think maybe the total could be something in there. I think someone asked me about the UCLA Heat. They bet the over 129. I think that was Seth. That's a great middle number because, again, that's the late game. If it moves to 132 because everyone else betting in favor, now you have a 3-point middle, or wait for live betting because like I said, me and you both think it's going to be a kind of a snail type of game on that one. So I think that could be a very fun thing to look at.
Yeah, someone said they're going to spend the Super Bowl money. That's another PSA announcement. Just because you won the Super Bowl and you have money in your account and you're up, that doesn't mean you have to bet more. Withdraw that money and put it to good use so that way you're not tempted to just go bet this UCLA game late just because you want to have action on a late game. So PSA, you don't have to bet your Super Bowl or any winnings, that's per se. Remember, those winnings aren't winnings. They're your money. They're your money. Don't treat them as winnings. Treat them as your money, your hard-earned money. Because you had to work hard to get that. So, all right. So we'll be back again tomorrow. Don't forget, we'll have we have our best bets. You can get free $60. DocSports.com/free60. Go over tonight. I have a 6-unit play, a 4-unit, and a 2-unit play into my 3-pack of college hoops plays. You can get it for just $30. If you're an existing customer, of course, you know how to get it. Go to the grid. And then Raphael will, I'm sure, have a bigger play tomorrow as we start to tomorrow and Thursday as we start to ramp back up in all the sports. So make sure you get in and you won't regret it. Doc Sports, 1 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday. We will see you again tomorrow at 1 o'clock, me and Raphael, and possibly one of the New Orleans partiers will join us, or maybe both. You never know. Good luck, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow.